the railways which have made Peterborough crossroads of communication, and therefore a place for people like Ted and Jackie Hockridge to settle. For those who have come a long way and whose journey ends at Peterborough, there's another connection between their new life and the railways, and one they truly wouldn't expect. That was a honky-tonk train blues, and this is a train on the Nene Valley Railway. If I can get down. Oh, it's a long drop. Now, you don't normally associate vicars with trains, but the Reverend Richard Peyton was the first chairman of the railway. But what's more important to this programme, he's also president of the Peterborough Council for Community Relations. Welcome to the programme, Richard. When did you first become interested in community relations?
Well, when I found myself as curator in the parish of St Mark in Peterborough in, I think, 1967, and I was a bit shocked to discover that they talked well-intentionally about parishioners and immigrants, and that struck a jarring note and set me off on my job, which was a voyage of discovery.
How do you go about making the immigrants feel at home?
By becoming involved with people's personal problems and issues and helping people to feel more confidence. Because I think when you think of the trauma that has brought many people here, the East African Asian people, for instance, they were very shaken people, and anything that I could do to help them to recover their esteem and self-confidence, that I tried to do.
Tell us more about the work of the Council for Community Relations.
Its first work is what I call the sharp end. That's the combating of the evils of racialism and prejudice, and alongside that is what I call the soft end, but equally important, that's the work in the wider community of helping people, those who are different and those who think they belong to the majority, to live in concord and dignity with each other. So my vision is that the work is to help people to be themselves within one cohesive society before God.
Thank you very much. There's a group of people who have become so deeply embedded into Peterborough life that they even have their own consulate here, the Italians. They've been here for more than 30 years now, so the city has become dotted with Italian shops. Many of them settled in Fletton, near the brickworks, so I called into Fletton Primary School to see how they were getting on. Now, hands up all those who have Italian parents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you're Angela, aren't you? Where are your parents from? Foggia in southern Italy. I was there in the war. The Italians as a group can claim to be as Peterboroughian as practically anybody. Most of them are into their third generation, and only 50% of the English population can beat that. So despite their Italian ancestry, these children are as British as the Union Jack. Let's try an experiment. Maestro, per favore.
Tanto sentimento come tu chi tiene in mente accettato fai suonar guarda guardi stu giardino siente siesti sciuri arancia un profumo così fino
Trento, a song which is guaranteed to evoke the spirit of Italy in the heart of anyone who has eaten spaghetti. Yet only half of these children knew it. I wonder what they'd have said if I'd sung Greensleeves. You see, my experiments show that as young children grow up in a new culture, they draw from both what their parents knew and what surrounds them now. This particular school, I found, has devoted an entire classroom and a permanent teacher to the Italian way of life. So these English and Italian children are together able to build their own lives from everything that is taught them. Let's hope that they become, as the Reverend Richard Peyton said, themselves in one cohesive society before God.
One last word about the Italians. Remember Ted Hockridge? Well, his sons have teamed up with two Italian lads. And this mixture of Italian, Canadian and English backgrounds have produced a unique sound, which they call Force 4.
When I saw you, I was mesmerized. The fascination and the contact eye to eye. Now I wonder, love will show the way. It's a real emotion, and now is the time to say. You must know that it's true. I need no one but you. Take the breath away from me. 'Cause you're a beautiful girl, and I've waited for you. Come to me, baby, you know I adore you. Stay with me, girl, and give your love to me. Yeah. To the future, you are all I see. It may be wrong, girl, but it feels so good to me. Feels so good to me. Tell me you feel it too. 'Cause I need no one but you. Take the breath away from me. Beautiful girl, I've waited for you. Come to me, baby, you know I adore you. Stay with me, girl, and give your love to me. Give your love to me. There's no holding back, 'cause the feeling's so sure. Each time I see you, I need you more and more. Stay with me, girl, 'cause your love holds the key. You gotta stay with
Stay with me and give your love to me. Those simple words tell exactly what it is that bonds the human family together. And that's a tradition which applies, perhaps more than anyone, to the Jewish community. The Jews, as we know, have stayed together through some of the most appalling episodes of history. So it was in an unassuming housing estate that I met a Jewish couple who, though married after the war, brought to fruition their childhood love for each other, Lotte and Frederick Kramer.
Lotte and Frederick, there's a romantic story behind your marriage, isn't there?
Yes, we met at school, actually. In 1934, we had a Jewish school in Mainz, where we come from, because we couldn't go to the others anymore. And that's where we met. But Frederick had to leave the country in 1935 to go to Czechoslovakia. And I was heartbroken. We lost touch then.
Well, then, of course, you met up again here
Yes.
in England, didn't you?
In England, yes, in 1939.
What happened before that?
Well, it was the time of persecution from 1933, as early as that in my family, definitely. I mean, at the earliest incident I can remember was on the 1st of April, 1933, April Fool's Day. When the Nazis staged a boycott day, stationing stormtroopers outside Jewish shops, and my grandfather, who lived in a small Rhineland town and was a very popular man, had a butcher shop. And he was so upset by this that he died on that day of a heart attack. And I remember, I was only a small child, but the horror that went through the family when this message came through that he had died. My parents cried, and it was terrible.
And of course you wrote a poem, didn't
Yes,
you?
I did write a poem called Grandfather.
And reading it for us is Penny Little, who lives locally.
For me, he was the unassailable giant, the creator of bicycles and dolls, the law of God behind his butcher's apron. He smelt of sausages and fresh air and grew out of his small town as naturally as a Black Forest pine tree. Not quite in tune, he would sing to me, with tears in his voice and eyes, his well-worn folk songs and ballads. His word was gospel to his family, and his wife's large domesticity was ornament and shape for his great size. No one dared correct him. For him it was right to stub his roll, to saturate his moustache and napkin. So when, one April Fool's Day, they barricaded his shop and house, he, like an angry god, turned away from the living.
Now, it must have been terrible to be uprooted as a young girl and come and live in this country. How bad was it? I mean, a different culture, different...
Yes, it was quite a traumatic experience. I mean, I was leaving a fairly secure home in spite of the persecution. We had a very happy family life. And there I was on my own in a strange country, and very soon an enemy alien as well, in wartime England. It was a difficult experience to come to terms with.
But it took you about 30 years to come to terms with it, didn't it? That's when you began to write poetry, wasn't it?
That's right. What happened is that during the war and all these persecutions and death camps, I lost my parents, I lost lots of uncles and aunts and cousins, and I could not think about it, did not want to write about it or talk about it. Until we came to Peterborough in 1968, when I felt uprooted again from the London area, strangely enough, where we had lived for about 30 years. And I felt rather isolated, missing my friends. And I started to write about that earlier time, and it just poured out of me in poetry.
Read a newspaper any day of the week, and you'll understand that in today's terms, the Jews have little in common with the Muslims. And yet there are plenty of both who will tell you that their spiritual journeys run remarkably parallel.
Well, I left my happy home to see what I could find out.
Cat Stevens left songwriting to make his spiritual journey.
I left my folk and friends with the aim to clear my mind out.
He became an Islamic scholar and is now respected as Yusuf Islam.
Well, I hit the rowdy road, and many kinds I've met there. Many stories told me how the way to get there. Ooh.
The belief in Islam is that the religion of God is one religion from the beginning, from Adam to the last prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all the messages between. They were all bringing the one message, which was to worship one God, to submit to him and be good. I think that the message to Christians and to Jews is to come forward to understand the common areas which we all believe in. And that for a Muslim is the first duty, is to convey the message of peace and the unity of God. Once a person understands that message, I think it then leads naturally on to the acceptance of one another in this world, rights of neighbors, rights of family, the rights of humanity in general. The oneness of God implies the oneness of humanity, and that is the message of Islam.
Yes, the answer lies within. So why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin. Pick up a good book now. Ooh. Yes, the answer lies within. So why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin. Pick up a good book now. Ooh.
For each one of us, the answer lies within. Not just within ourselves, but within the hearts and minds of everyone else who comes into our daily lives. We've looked at the way in which people have come to live in Peterborough from different kinds of communities all over the world. We've looked at some ideas about how they can learn to live alongside each other.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to a couple who really put those ideas to the test. Mayor Bablada comes from Uganda and is a Muslim. His wife Jane comes from Somerset. As if that weren't enough, Mayor Bub, you have a rather special job in the town, don't you?
Well, I'm the Community Relations Officer,
Yeah.
and my job is, in fact, to monitor race relations in the city.
Remember, this marriage is like really two communities settling down together, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and in fact, what we experience with each other day by day is what I feel is present in the community at large in Peterborough. And a lot of the problems regarding community and race relations is because people are ignorant about each other, they don't know about each other, they make presumptions about each other. And that, in a way, is something that we are trying to do, because we learn from each other, and it'll actually be the job of a lifetime.
Jane, does the fact that you're a Christian and Mayor Bub is a Muslim cause difficulty in the marriage?
Our religious beliefs have never been an area of conflict in our marriage. We respect each other's beliefs, and we join in with each other's religious customs and traditions when we feel it's appropriate. But we believe that we're on two different paths to the same destination.
And what about the children?
As far as their religious upbringing is concerned, they come to church with me, but neither of them have been baptised, and we hope that when they're old enough they'll be able to make up their own minds as to which religion they follow, if any.
In a mixed community, as in a mixed marriage, everybody needs their privacy. But there has to be a common ground, one place where everybody can meet. The Queensgate Shopping Centre is at the hub of a city which is growing with its people. Here everyone, whoever they are, whatever race or religion, rub shoulders and go about their daily business. Let's hope we can all one day find our own place to live together in love and harmony. upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. What can I say about our visit to Peterborough? Surely nothing could be better than the words of Mrs. Jane Larder. Talking about her Christian religion and her husband's Muslim religion, she said we're on different paths to the same destination. And I feel that's so true about the many diverse religions here in Peterborough. All in all, a hopeful outlook for the future. Next week, Highway comes from Sherborne. I'll see you then.